So this is my vlog. Things are not easy when, I've just really tried to, love others, even when I was unhealed. You know, of course, I was of course a mess then, making the same mistakes and stuff, but I've never tried to hurt anybody. I never have stolen anything. Not like I'm bragging. I've done other things. Infidelity was my sin. And, I struggled with addictions, and, when God comes through to clean house, he just really does an amazing job. I think the thing that got me the most, the shame that got me down, was the infidelity, especially after the loss of my second husband of 18 years. I really did a number on him, but that is what actually pushed me into purpose. And losing that, God opened another door to meet my twin flame. And after I had been healed and delivered, and I loved the greatest on that relationship. I was proud of myself. Every day I would pray for how I could, be a blessing and really learn to implement the skills of loving others more than yourself, and sacrifice and surrender, unconditional love, all that stuff. So I think I just overindulged a little bit on that, because after a while I just started losing myself. And that's when you got to put the boundaries up. It wasn't for, God really helped me really see that things were kind of out of balance. I kind of went from one extreme to the other, went from loving myself to loving someone, and kind of overlooking what I needed. I've had to learn things in my life by trial and error, by touching the stove a million times when it was on and realizing that it was hot. Thought I learned that lesson, but that's how I learn, And I actually like the challenges of obstacles and things being difficult and hard, because it gives me the challenge to be better, especially when I had my son. I wanted to be better for him. With my daughters, not so much, sadly. I had my daughters younger than my son was my last one that I had, but he really changed my perspective on motherhood. And when I had him, I was more driven to, be better, because I wasn't satisfied with who I was. And so after my failure with my 18-year marriage, knowing that I was responsible for most of the pain and heartbreak that was experienced in that failed marriage, I didn't want to repeat that same pattern again. And then I guess I kind of went to the other extreme. And but I was proud of myself. This last relationship that I ended, I was proud of myself, Yes, that's when things come back to you. That's when you're on the other side of the fence receiving things that are coming back to you. And that there is a lesson. So it's the lesson of, how it feels. It doesn't feel very good, but that's what I dished out. I dished out pain to my ex-husband, and then after it was over, then that's when he was done with it. That's when I decided that, I wanted to change. Sadly, I had to walk through those lessons and be on both sides of the fence to be who I am today, and to continue to ask God to purify my heart every day. I have to ask him to purify my heart, whatever's in there that he sees that is not good, to bring it to my attention so that it can be removed, because bitterness is something that's super hard to get out of your heart and out of your system. It actually acts like poison. bitterness is a root, and I had plenty. I had so much bitterness in my heart due to my dysfunctional childhood, due to abandonment issues, due to low self-esteem, poor choices, a bunch of things, you know. But being on the other side of the fence with knowing with what God has done and how good he is once you know, you look at your shadow and you take out all of those aspects and those things that cause pain and that are causing you blockages and pain that you, because you're not dealing with it, but yet you're inflicting those things to other people because of the pain. Once you get that out and let God fill you up with love, oh, it's just, there's nothing more rewarding. I love what God has done to my life. But I'm still learning, you know. I honor God, and he has a different plan for me because he believes that I can do it. I can influence others. I can, you know, for the better, and show them how to transmute pain into purpose and into power and into self-love. It's just a balance of things. And I think that, you know, now that I am going to have that fame in my destiny, it's not something that I'm going to be used to because I've been so adamant and guarded about not putting everything on blast with my life. I barely put anything on blast. I've always had a hard time with social media because, you know, it's always been a struggle for me to let people in. I've been a loner my whole life. I've been like a lone wolf, and I'm fine being that way. I had 2 older sisters and 2 younger brothers, and so I was exactly in the middle. There's 5 kids, 2 older sisters, me, and then 2 younger brothers. So I was always the one that didn't kind of have anyone to lean on. Funny that I got chosen, you know. But I'm used to being by myself, and then God put me in, you know, he strips you down, takes away everyone so that you, when he does call you into purpose, he takes everything out of your life so that you're not depending on a person, because then you'll never change. Like if I would have stayed with my ex, Jason, he loved me so much that it would have enabled me to stay broken. Him leaving was the best. Him deciding that it was over was the best thing for me as far as my healing. Okay? But God wants dependency to only be on him, and so I've learned to call on God for everything. So we're kind of like this. I'm not perfect. I struggle, you know. But I do love big now, and trying to take emotion out while I am kind of trying to inspire and do the right thing is a challenge for me. And that's going to be one of the hard things that I know that I need to learn, is just, you know, kind of trying to make sure that I really know what I'm saying, which is going to be hard when I'm in the spotlight, you know, because then you're kind of expected to answer things on the fly, when I kind of like to rehearse, or if I don't like it, I'm going to edit it and redo it and make it perfect. So it's going to be a lot of challenges, a lot of getting out of the box, out of the comfort zone for me. But that's what growth is all about. You cannot grow if you're comfortable, or if you are scared of anything. You know, fear's not going to take you anywhere. You have to just remember that everyone is a work in progress. Everyone deserves mercy. Everyone makes mistakes. Nobody is perfect, and nobody will be perfect until the day Jesus arrives, and you know, we're all called home or whatever. Then I guess that's when we would stand in front of the righteous judge and give an account for our lives. But I hope that God said that I could do this job, and I don't want to disappoint him. I want to make sure that I can inspire others based on my life experiences. And I'm excited. Yes, a lot of things have been going on because in my life, with as far as my destiny swap and transfer, But it's a good thing because God doesn't want wimps in his kingdom. He wants you to learn spiritual warfare. He wants to learn you to learn how to fight. He wants you to implement the things that are in the foundation of his word, loving your enemies as yourself, praying for those who persecute you, forgiving up to 70 times 7, and walking in love and watching what you say, being a good steward with your words, with your relationship, with your money, and always being grateful and giving thanks, because it could be worse. Gratitude is actually what invites more good things to come into your life. That is one of the keys for the universe to work for you, is to being grateful for what you have. So I'm grateful that I went through all of the mistakes, the trials, the difficulties, and I'm grateful that I actually can be a voice for righteousness and for truth. I know that even in spite of heartbreak, it's going to be hard. But if God said I can do it, I don't want to disappoint him. And I believe that I can. So with that being said, just bear with me as I learn how to navigate these waters of change. And, nobody's perfect. Nobody has arrived. And I know that more than anybody. So, with that being said, be true. Be true to you. Because there's nobody like you. There's only one. In fact, nobody has the same fingerprints as we have. Isn't that cool? So, very unique. And I think that that is cool. So, rock your uniqueness and celebrate who God created you to be, because we need you. We don't need the versions of being the same. We were born to stand out, right? We all have different fingerprints for a reason. So I hope that made sense. I don't know. Sometimes I go off on a tangent. I am a Gemini. I do like communicating. So anyways, have a good night.